Well, the worst has happened. So I had the sprinklers going because we got a frost last night. I did not think about getting a frost. We went and got a bunch of hay for the winter, which is a really good feeling. When you are a homesteader farmer and you get your hay in and your wood in, you feel like you're good to go for the winters to come. We only got half our hay, so we still have a bit to go, but it was not on my brain for a frost last night. We had 86 degrees yesterday, and it should have been. It dropped into the 80s, so if it drops down to the 80s, it's gonna drop down to freezing, which is where we're normally in the 80s. And so it's July 9th with a freeze. So I have my sprinklers going on our most susceptible freezing crops. The potatoes, the sun has already hit them, so they're already showing some damage. Now, cucumbers and beans, the squashes I did have covered only because I thought something was eating them and they were disappearing, so I covered them. So they have a frost cover on them. Everybody else doesn't. And so my cucumbers are up a good little bit, and my beans are up a good little bit, and I was feeling good about myself. The worst has happened. I don't even know what to say. Good news, sunflowers, they're frost tolerant. My zinnias hadn't sprouted. I planted my gladiolas in the greenhouse, and I have a bunch of squash in the greenhouse. I have no cucumbers in the greenhouse. Did I? That was stupid. I should probably plant some quick growing cucumbers in the greenhouse. I guess I know where that tunnel's gonna go. One of those beds, if they survive. The theory of the water is that the frost isn't what actually kills the plant, it's the sun that comes over, and when it hits the frost, the cells inside the plant explode. So if you get the water on it before the sun hits the plant, you have a chance of saving the plant from it exploding, in theory. It hasn't always worked. If the freeze is a good freeze, you're screwed no matter what. If it's a frost, you may be in luck. And I may be in luck. I knew this morning when we have fans in our windows to blow in cool air when it cools down at night. I knew this morning when the living room was like an ice box. I was like, did it freeze? And I checked my phone. It said 38. I was like, oh, we're good. And I just randomly decided to come out to the gardens, check it out, see what's going on. Typically I can't turn on my sprinklers this early because the sun, we run our irrigation off solar, and the sun's typically not strong enough at 7. The miracle in itself, we got the water going out here at that early, getting these plants, Lord willing. I'm just like praying over them. Please survive. I'll go show them to you. But sorry I'm not more upbeat today. It's a real kick in the teeth. My cold crops are suffering because of the heat. And by the way, we had 2 days in the 80s. And it should have been on my mind that it was going to freeze because our hay farmer was like, hey, I heard that it got down to 28 in your area last night. And I was like, this was yesterday. I was like, oh no, we only got down into the 30s, like upper 30s. And he's like, oh, some places did. And now I'm second guessing it because my potatoes do have like frost damage on them where it couldn't have been from today only. So I'm second guessing myself. So maybe we did get down to the 28s last night, or the night prior. We definitely did last night. It froze. It should have been on my mind, but I came home from that hay thing. I had a horrible migraine and I went to bed. We got home around 7 or 8 o'clock last night. I ate dinner and I went to bed. So it wasn't even on my mind to cover my plants. Let's go look at these guys, see if they have any hope. And this row right here is the squash. I'm not 100% sure how those pro-cuts will fare in this. I haven't grown pro-cuts before, but any other sunflower getting down to 28 degrees, 32, it doesn't affect them. They're pretty good at withstanding freezes, not so much, but frost definitely they can handle. 20s and low 20s, where the mid 20s they start looking a little worse for wear. Normal sunflowers like mammoth sunflowers, the Titan sunflowers, the normal growing height sunflower, they do pretty good. Pro-cuts, never grown them before. I have no idea how they're going to fare. Hopefully well. We have our first market in 8 days. On a better note, look at these. We got some green onions doing good. They'll probably be ready to go to market. Oh, such is life, people. Such is life. We will move on. I already had known this year was rough. It is rough, but I'm going to plant more of what's doing well. What's doing really well, surprisingly, is my lettuce mix with arugula, and it's under a frost cover. I think it's just really protecting it from the heat. So some lettuce mixes is doing good. My romaine heads of lettuce, I'm going to plant some more of those today. My Swiss chard, what survived, is actually doing pretty well. If all else fails, if these all, when I come out here later this afternoon with you and we check on these and they're all just shot, we're gonna pull up our big girl pants, get out here and replant. Let's talk about this little garden. It is doing really well. There's a million weeds, and that's okay. Everything in here I planted is frost tolerant. I didn't plant a single thing that isn't. And also with the trees, it does provide a bit of coverage for light frost. I can still see things that got it, but it doesn't seem to be affecting anything. All these sunflowers in here, I did plant a few pro-cuts, but most of them are just regular. This is what I was really curious about, because I heard these beans were frost tolerant, but I wanted to see for myself. Fava beans, baby. They're doing awesome. Great germination rate. I think I almost had 100%. If I planted one here, it didn't germinate or it got ate by something. But almost 100% germination rate. These seeds I got from Baker Creek. I am always so pleased with Baker Creek's germination rate. It's hard to beat. I mean, I've tried so many seed companies, and my gardener actually has super great germination rate. These sunflowers are getting out of control. Well, there you have it. Let's check back in a bit. All right, so it has been a few days, and before, well, I came out here and I wasn't planning on filming, but then I started harvesting my garlic and I was like, I should probably film this. But let's give you an update real quick on the frost situation. Most everything survived pretty well. Fortunately, we had just put a new layer of straw over the potatoes, and even though it didn't cover them all, I think it did a fairly good job of insulating. You can see where they got nipped a bit, but underneath, all in all, it looks okay. So some fared better than others. Like these blossoms, I'm pretty sure I showed you guys these. They survived. But then you come down a little further and these are crispy again. The worst of the damage is down here with some crispy potatoes. I'm not too worried. The majority of them, there's definitely some damage on this side. But all in all, the potatoes fared fairly well. Beans, they did great. Cucumbers did great. Squashes did fine. The pro-cut sunflowers did great. I harvested my first pro-cuts this week as well. And it was my sister's birthday. So I made her a bouquet of our wildflowers. My first pro-cuts. But also, guys, look who's here. In another heat wave. So it's like 96 today. So not as bad as 104 or 5, but still hot. But look who, oh, gorgeous. When getting, this is the best looking pro cut I have. I did not mark any of these for their varieties, which I wish I would have, because there's some varieties that aren't doing nearly as good as this one. I think this is the orange, the pro cut orange, and I'm absolutely in love with it. It's so gorgeous. Come on, Flash. You coming on the garden tour? If you've been around the channel much at all, you'll know Flash. You can typically hear him whining in the background. Yes. Yes, okay. You want to go for the tour. You're gonna have to get, oh, freaking out. Camera freaked you out. It reminds me of like a cat face, like tomatoes would get, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. This can't be usable, so I would assume I would just, that one's a dud. And then look at this. Why are they so tiny? And then this pretty guy, it's got the cat face thing going on too, but there's 3 heads. These are pro cuts. They're supposed to be single stem, but I would assume there would definitely be flaws. This is going to be that same thing. It's going to be so gorgeous when it opens up. Down here we have these guys. They are not, they're okay. They're not my favorite. Yes, Flashy. Come on, let's go show them the other side. It's going, oh my gosh, this one does look pretty beautiful over here. The bee on it. And some of my branching sunflowers are also starting to crack open. Like this guy. What is going to happen with this? I don't know. This is that pretty one. This is by far my favorite so far. I was really hoping to hold this over until our garden tour, just because it just looks really good. But I pulled some up today and some of it is starting to split. I'll show you what I mean. You don't want your garlic to split because it doesn't store as long then. Actually, my fault that it is splitting because I think it's just a little too moist. Got some pretty decent cloves, like look at that guy. And it's feeling soft, like, ugh, we need to get him out. It's not doing good. It's like rotting. So I figured, I know it's smaller, but I don't want to lose very many. And oh, here's one. See how those cloves are coming apart? You do not want that. So my dilemma was, one, I wanted my garlic to look pretty for the garden tour because it's the first thing you see. And now it's not going to be here when people come, which is okay. I would rather have my garlic be successful and not splitting and staying good and beautiful for me than it be here for a garden tour. Such is life. I feel like this is early for me to harvest though, but some of these bulbs are really good sized. Like this guy, it's huge. And this guy is huge. I'd say the average size though is probably still pretty good. A normal clove of garlic. Well, I also haven't picked the big ones. I picked the smaller ones. They were the ones that were really done. You don't want it all the way brown, but you don't want it all the way green either. So it's pretty brown. Not crazy amount. Some of the little ones are where I started because they were really, some of them are already all the way brown. Like this guy, I was like, probably should get that. And it's completely split. This is not what I want at all. So we had a dilemma. I wanted to plant, I had these 2 beds here, and I had originally wanted to plant my potatoes there, which would make really good sense because my potatoes get mulch and my garlic gets mulch and they need the less water. Well, I had to plant, these beds were so bad with weeds that we had to put cardboard, and it ended up needing a shallow root crop like lettuce or Parisian market carrots that didn't affect the cardboard, unlike potatoes where we needed to dig deeper. Kind of messed it up. So these got probably too much water, these garlics, but that's okay. We're just gonna go ahead and harvest them. So now it's the next day. I don't know. This video has been filmed quite a bit. And now I will show you. This is sad to me. The garlic's first harvest. I don't know why I'm being sad. I'm just like, it will look so beautiful. Hello, Marta. We have all sorts of garden kitties. So the Flashy, hi honey. We need to weed this. So tomorrow we're gonna weed this. We have some volunteer lettuces from last year. And we're going to get this replanted. I'm gonna replant some storage carrots in this bed and get it going. We need a second round for the family. But here is one of this is this row of garlic. So not too shabby. It's actually quite a bit of garlic for one row, and I'm pretty pleased. I talked a little bit, this is some of my bigger cloves. Like, this is a good sized clove, but if you look in there, it's all broke up. And that is why I harvested it yesterday and today. I'll get this up on the table to dry out for the next week or so. Maybe hang it up. I saw a gal hang it up just from her porch with some twine. I have some baling twine from the hay bales that we should use. So some of them are pretty tiny. You plant a small clove, you're not going to get a super large bulb. You're going to get what you plant. So what I'm gonna do once these dry out, I'm gonna clean them up. Once they're dry, like a filthy one like this, it's pretty easy to clean up. You want to plant your biggest and your best cloves. That way you get your biggest and your best bulbs for the following year. So this, I got all sorts of garden kitties today. This is Murtaugh Fitzgibbons. I'm going to be going through these, cleaning them up, drying them out, and then we will be planting them this September. And I'm going to be planting my biggest and best cloves. Garden kitties everywhere. It was a failure of a crop of carrots. You can see a little bit here and there. It just did not go well. This is our second bed of garlic. I'm contemplating on seeing how it goes if it gets bigger, pulling the ones that look a little worse. Hello, Flashy. Hello. I think he lives in the garden. He's always out here. These guys that look the worst right here. Murtaugh. These are looking the saddest. But if you go down, they're looking good. The potatoes are actually looking like they got hit the hardest out of the beans and the cucumbers and the squashes. The squashes, something was eating them. Only like 10 germinated. So I was considering replanting those. So if I replant those, I can plant a short variety, like a 49-day variety of a squash, which should put us about August 25th. I looked it up, and that should be good. So 2 praise reports. A lot of things survived the frost, the 2 frosts we had. The potatoes, even though they look a little shabby, they're okay. And we ordered our high tunnel. It'll be here. We will actually go and get it. We ordered it from an Oregon company, and we will go pick it up in September. So I'm really excited about that. High tunnel, great. Also, this week is our first farmer's market. This is my first ever farmer's market, and I'm going to do my best to film it this week and get it ready. We have a couple big things going on this month. Well, so on the 17th, we have our first farmer's market, and the last week of July, first weekend of August, it's the same weekend, 30th, 31st, and 1st, is our town scoop and garden tour. Do you see these two? Hey! Get off the beets! I have another one too around here. We have so much work that needs to be done. We need a weed. I got some wood chips coming tomorrow for the wood chip pile. We need to replant. We need to pull things. We just got to get it going. We're just busy right now. It's a lot of fun, having a lot of fun. A lot of work needs to be done. I feel like this is crunch time. We're in another heat wave, but the evenings, like right now, it's way darker than what it looks like on the film. But it's about 9:30. This is the perfect time of night to work. So one of my good friends is coming over tomorrow, and we're gonna work in the evening, and we're gonna bust out a bunch of stuff. and that's gonna be great. And of course, Gabe is still working for us, and he's doing good. He's been working on a lot of other farm projects, like helping Trey with executing his landscaping plans, painting, and just doing some good fixing up. He will be in this garden as soon as he gets done finishing up painting the outside of the garage. He's basically almost done. So he'll be in here next week too, or this coming week, and we will be busting this out. So stay tuned this week. We're gonna film it. We're gonna show you guys getting ready for the market, and hopefully we have a successful first market. I'm a little nervous because I'm like, what do I have to take? Everything is a little not quite ready. I'm praying that my pro cuts are ready, and I have some yarrow, so we'll have pro cuts and yarrow for bouquets, I think. So sunflowers and yarrow, which I think will be beautiful, but I'm just not, we don't have a ton of other variety. We do have some more wildflowers, but not a lot. I'm nervous about what I have to take. Definitely lettuce, definitely some flowers, and I have some stuff up here too. We'll figure it out. All right, guys, I'll see you on my next video. And oh, catchphrase. A friend that was like the last catchphrase from the garden tour. If you did not watch to the end of the garden tour, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So you'll have to go back and watch that to find out what I'm talking about. But that catchphrase, one of my friends was like, I think you found your catchphrase. No, I can't. I gotta show you this. Guys, well, I hope you have a good night, and see you on the flippity flop. If you get that reference, comment below. Oh, and before I go, I'm out in the little garden. This was the bare spot where the sunflowers weren't. I transplanted sunflowers. Some of them, well, actually just one is looking a little sad. That one right there. Everybody else is looking good. So it just might have worked. I might be able to have some sunflowers. And also I got this guy at TJ Maxx, and he's so cheerful. I keep thinking he's an actual sunflower. It has a solar light, and he looks so cheerful. I love him. Okay. Oh my gosh, does this look so gorgeous? I love it.